Hello, my name's Samatika, and today I'm going to be providing a critique on the presentation of Assetto Corsa Evo. And by presentation, I mean just the overall experience I get while I am playing the game. So I'm gonna start with like the first thing that actually spurred me to do this video in the first place, to like write what I have written. And that would be the license test, or what Assetto Corsa calls the driving academy or something like that. But the thing that I remember is the fact that academy is in the name. Now, the critique that I have about it isn't much of an academy. Ooh, okay. So, as it stands right now, the academy is a series of challenges that you have to do to obtain a vehicle racing license, and you have different tiers: sports car, supercar, hypercar, race 1, race 2, and race 3. I've reached as far as hypercar, and yeah, let's start with the first one, right? So the very first challenge is your first hairpin. And the text that you are given is focus on the braking point and exit the turn smoothly. Now, it isn't really much to go off of if you are a complete beginner, right? The I guess you can say problem that I have is that the word economy is not a good description of what the academy or the license tests currently are. I don't really think they actually teach you how to do the challenges. Like, I find that the only reason that I passed the tests were because I already knew how to drive the car in such a way to pass the tests. Allow me to compare and contrast to Gran Turismo 4 in particular. So, the very first license test, and I'm gonna compare and contrast two of them, right? The very first license test for Evo is a hairpin turn. So the first time that you come across a hairpin turn test is in License B, Challenge number 8, Basics of Cornering 3 in Gran Turismo 4, right? And the description reads, I'm gonna cut out the first part, I don't think it's necessary. Your test car will be the Mazda Unos Roadster. Unlike that of the Deep Forest course, this hairpin is a right-hander. Oh, wait, okay, I don't have it right. Whatever, they still describe it. uh, the corner is a decreasing radius type, so make sure you apply plenty of brakes going in. Don't try to dive into the apex. Instead, follow a line similar to that of a large semicircle. And that is a lot more descriptive than the descriptions Evo gives you, and it acts as like a primer. Now, if you are me, right, you're still gonna end up failing it for the very first time before you try again, right? But in Gran Turismo 4, Gran Turismo gives you this primer, what to expect. They explain things to you, like, here is what you should do, and here's why you should do it the way that we're telling you to do it. The second set of tests that I'm going to like compare and contrast, right, are kind of parallels. I'm going to compare the license test with the Lotus Emira in Evo and the license test in Gran Turismo 4 with the Lotus Elise. I find it interesting how similar they are, but how different the approach is. Yeah. So let me just read you Evo, right? Italian chicanes. Your first ride on the iconic chicanes of Imola. Use all the space you have and be gentle with the steering. Now, this isn't bad, right? There is some instruction here. Use all the space and be gentle with the steering. It's not nothing, right? But when you actually like go and take the test, I wasn't I still feel like I was going in blind, right? I was expecting a chicane, but no, I remember like driving down the straight of Imola, before taking a slight bend left-hander into the first chicane, and then after that chicane, the test kept on going. I was confused. There's a left-hander after that, shorter but still a straight, and then the second set of chicanes before you finally reach like the very last part. And I was like, wait, I didn't know I was doing two of them. And you might be saying to me, Samataka, dude, like, how could you not know that there are two of them? And it's like, well, I didn't remember. Okay? And like, there was no way for me to be like aware of it. So, like, driving it through that test for the first time, I was like, oh, okay. It's like I'm being thrown in blind here. So let me load up the parallel in Gran Turismo 4 with the Lotus Elise, and it's also a series of corners, right? So this is in license test A, complex corners, beginner 2. It says, remember that because the Elise is a powerful mid-engine sports car, its behavior through the S's will be different than that of a front-engine car. So first off, they're telling us the characteristics of the Lotus Elise, or at least how it would be different from the cars that we've been driving so far. When going through the right-hander after the bridge, make sure you hit the brakes to transfer the car's weight to the front tires. Otherwise, you'll get a lot of unwanted understeer. If you get too wide at the corner's exit, you won't be able to stay on the correct line for the following left-hander. Correctly utilizing the car's fore-aft balance, weight balance, is important here. So there's a lot here, right? First off is their explanation of the car's handling characteristics. They describe that there's going to be a right-hander after the bridge, and then there's going to be a left-hander, and they also describe, okay, after you take the right-hander, do this thing so that you can take the left-hander properly. Also, it's important to focus on the weight balance of the car in this test. Like you have all of this information to work with, so you at least have like some kind of framework of what you're supposed to be doing. Like I said, let me like reread you um what instruction Assetto Corsa ever gives you. Your first ride on the iconic chicanes of Imola. Use all the space you have and be gentle with the steering. Yeah. So I think there is improvement to be had in the descriptions of the license tests. So the next thing is how short each of the license tests feel. And this one might be kind of controversial because I know, like with Gran Turismo, probably not with the recent ones, but with definitely the older ones, some of the license tests have the tendency to stretch on and on and on, and it's like, what is this, man? um, so me saying the license tests are too short, I feel would be somewhat of a controversial thing to say. And I've already seen people online like absolutely raging at the fact that they even exist at all. But as it stands right now, the very last test for the first three ones at least I know, like you're supposed to like put together a whole last lap of like the track that you've been practicing on. But the thing is that it feels very anticlimactic. Maybe it's because of the lack of the instruction. Maybe it's the fact that I didn't try to gold each one. Like personally, like I don't try to like get 3 stars and then move on. Like I just like do the thing and then if like I either get 1 star, 2 star, 3 stars if I'm lucky, and then I move on with it. And for me that was done in like it felt too soon. I don't know what period of time I did it in, maybe 10, 20 minutes. I don't know. But I just remember feeling like it doesn't really feel like I got a license. It feels like I did like 4 challenges, then 1 lap of a track that I have raced so many times before, and then I was awarded this thing. So there's that. I wanted to say that the tests feel kind of anticlimactic. And then the third and final thing that I have to say about the license test before jumping into some other things that I wanted to talk about, you get awarded money for the tests, and this strikes me as odd, right? Like, Like the whole concept of like earning money in a fully fledged simulator, at least to me, seems to be a totally new concept. Not generally for racing games, but for simulators, yeah. Um, so with that, I assume that there's this impression of like a world, right? A world that has its own money. And being awarded for a license test feels strange, right? Like I wrote this joke down. Like if I was paid to take tests, I would have stayed in school. When I'm playing, me as the player, and I pass these tests, what I wonder is like where is this money coming from? Who is paying like all of like 12 grand to like see some random ass dude, some nobody do a test? Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't really make sense to me. So there is that too. Like, why am I being paid? Like, who is selling crack to give me this money? Yeah, so that's my third point. So, I was just talking about like license test money thing, right? Now, now I'm gonna go to the general topic of money. They give you a lot of it. I understand that the game is like just in early access and they might just like give us a lot of money to just throw around test what we want to test and not really actually like restrict the player too much like they might in the final game. But as it stands right now, I don't really see much to spend that money on. And what I mean by this, right, is like, yeah, you can buy cars, but quite frankly, I'm not gonna buy every car, right? Like, I just don't feel like buying every car. Like, maybe I just want to buy one or two cars that I really like and drive them, right? So something that struck me is that, like, for one, repainting your car doesn't cost any money. Like, you can just do it. And while that does let you have some level of freedom, why not charge people to do it? If we're just going to have this huge backlog of cash to do it. Anyways, like if you've ever played BeamMG career mode, and before you even ask, yes, BeamMG has a playable career mode, like right now, like you might be saying it's grayed out, just click on it a bunch of times, it'll pop up, it'll load, and you'll be able to do it. And I like how they deal with repainting in that, though BMMG is like the very exact opposite of the issue or perceived issue that I have with the current economy in Evo, where like they're way too restrictive with the amount of cash the player has. So with BMMG, right, you can repaint your car, but the thing is, it costs cash to do it, and the amount that it costs depends on the type of paint. Metallic paint costs a different amount of money than gloss paint. I find that to be just like I can appreciate that detail and it adds a level of immersion. I think I can say. I had some ideas and I hate suggesting ideas because like we're all idea people until we actually go and try and do the thing and realize it doesn't work or it's more difficult to make work. But you know how like Gran Turismo, and yeah, I know Evo is not Gran Turismo, I fully see that. In Gran Turismo, like car maintenance is a thing. I think Evo could possibly like benefit from that, but like if you're gonna give players like a lot of money to work with, then maybe like expand on it. Like I've written down a couple things like while yeah you can replace oil, you can possibly I think replacing worn out tires, replacing brake pads and air filters might actually it'll give us something to spend money on, and also like I think participating in car care helps us like grow an attachment to the car as well. So yeah, I don't know if it's a good idea or not. Like sometimes I know like the suggestions, it's like, hey, just make the game more realistic. But like when you make it more realistic, sometimes that just isn't fun. Um, the reason that I make this suggestion, like the example that I'm working off of, right now. It's not actually only Gran Turismo, but like I play Stalker, Gamma as well, or I used to before I uninstalled it for extra space on my computer. Anyways, yeah, in that you have to. There's a lot of costs you have to keep up with, like feeding yourself, water, like ammo and like gun maintenance. Like it's a lot, right? And you don't have a lot of money to work with, but like it's challenging, but also still fun, you know? And yeah, you just don't like rack up a bunch of money and like you just don't know what to spend it on. Like there is like a bunch of things that you actually have to keep up with, which gives you a reason to make more of it. Yeah, so that I wanted to add. What else was there? Um, the process of buying a car. Right. I remember this. Buying a car, I don't know what I'm getting into. Engine layout, powertrain, horsepower, and torque rating all matter. What type of transmission, aspiration, and engine type. Yeah, so I thought I was like mistaken in this. Like, there's no way that I was not told if a car was front wheel drive or all wheel drive or rear wheel drive like before I bought it. Like it must have been like information I glazed over, right? Something in the UI that I missed, but like I looked and I looked again and I looked again and like I don't see it. Like buying a car, like they tell you what kind of car, they tell you what's available for it, but they don't actually like give you information on it. Like relevant information if you're going to be pushing it to the limit and yeah, racing it. Like why? We need that. So there's that. I would like to assume that's only because it's early access and they actually plan to put that in, but haven't found the time to. I really hope that's the case. Yeah. So I will say on a final note, the game feels pretty similar to, how simulators usually feel. This time with just a bit more of money tacked on, right? But just like in its namesake, Assetto Corsa Evo, and I assume Evo stands for evolved or evolution or something along the lines of evolution, is very much characterized by that. And I wanted to say it still has that same DNA, right? It's not fully like a fleshed out game like, for example, Gran Turismo. It still has that sim DNA where you pick a car and you just, go in a quick race and, like you pick your track and you race, right? And you have some money. But yeah, it is evolving and not backwards. There's changes happening and they're changes for the better. I can appreciate the fact that they're actually trying something different and they're not doing half bad while they're at it. And I also wanted to add, I did like, I feel like I was critical of the license test earlier, but at the end of the day, for what they are, and what they are a series of challenges. They are very fun. I had a lot of fun with them, and the reason for that is because like the driving is amazing. It's like the best I have experienced in a racing game, point blank. And because of that, that's why I feel like this is going to be, if it isn't already, my favorite simulator. You might ask, is it worth $30? And I was wondering this myself when I watched it just release and I saw what it was from an outsider looking in, right? It seemed kind of bare bones, like you just have a couple cars and all you can do is practice and quick race. And now you have cash involved in the mix and you can paint your car and make some relatively minor adjustments to it. And I would say, yeah, it's worth it. Just for like the driving alone, it's really good. So, yeah. Is there something else? No, there isn't. Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. Maybe you agree, disagree with what I've said. If you have disagreed or agree, I would actually like to know. I don't really know how much of this is just what I think would make the game better, or if like there are a lot of people who agree that these things would improve the experience with the game. So yeah, you don't have to like the video, you don't have to subscribe, but leave a comment and write what you think. I'm curious. So, yeah, with that, stay safe, drive safe in real life. But yeah, take it easy. Peace, bro.